The car was a true beauty. It was a 1955 Starlight Cruiser, painted a deep, shimmering midnight blue. Sunlight made it sparkle like 1,000 tiny diamonds. It had arrived at the Grand City Museum only a week ago, a gift from a mysterious collector. Everyone whispered that it once belonged to the famous film star Sterling Silver. He was a legend from the black and white movies, known for his charming smile and daring stunts. The car was his most prized possession, or so the stories said. Children and adults alike would press their faces against the velvet ropes just to get a closer look at the gleaming chrome and the plush white leather seats. It felt like a piece of history, alive and breathing. The museum director, a kind man named Mr. Abernathy, could not have been more proud. He would walk past the Starlight Cruiser 10 times a day, polishing an imaginary speck of dust off its perfect hood. He told everyone that the car was the museum's new heart. The local newspaper wrote a big story about it, with a picture of Mr. Abernathy beaming beside the vintage automobile. The headline read, "Sterling Silver's legend drives into Grand City." Everyone agreed it was the most exciting thing to happen in town for years. The car wasn't just metal and wheels, it was a story, a dream from a golden age of cinema. The story of the car was almost as famous as the actor himself. Legend had it that Sterling Silver drove this very car on his last journey, the night he mysteriously vanished without a trace. Some said he drove it right into the ocean, seeking a dramatic exit. Others believed he used it to escape to a new life, far from the cameras and the crowds. These tales added to the car's allure, making it more than just an old vehicle. It was a puzzle, a final scene from a movie that never ended. People didn't just see a car, they saw the ghost of a Hollywood legend forever sitting in the driver's seat. For 1 week, the Starlight Cruiser was the undisputed star of the Grand City Museum. Its presence filled the large exhibition hall with a sense of glamour and intrigue. The air buzzed with excitement, with the low hum of visitors sharing their own theories about Sterling Silver and his magnificent car. The security guards made extra rounds, their footsteps echoing on the polished marble floors as they kept a watchful eye on the priceless treasure. Everything seemed perfect. The museum was safe, the car was secure, and a piece of history was finally home. But history, as I have learned, often has a way of repeating its most mysterious chapters. The morning of the theft was grey and silent. A thick fog had rolled in from the river, wrapping the city in a damp, quiet blanket. Mr. Abernathy arrived at the museum to find the main doors slightly ajar, which was very unusual. A cold feeling crept up his spine. He rushed inside, his heart pounding against his ribs. The great exhibition hall was empty and still. The velvet ropes lay on the floor like fallen soldiers. And the space where the Starlight Cruiser had gleamed so proudly was now horribly, shockingly empty. The car was gone. It had vanished as if it were a ghost, leaving nothing behind but a hollow space and a deep, chilling silence. Panic spread through the museum like wildfire. The security guards were bewildered. The alarms had not made a sound. The security cameras showed only static, a strange white noise, exactly at 3:13 in the morning. It was as if time itself had stopped for a moment, allowing the thief to work unseen and unheard. The police arrived quickly, their sirens muffled by the fog. They searched for fingerprints, for tire tracks, for any sign of a break-in, but found nothing. The thief was a phantom. The disappearance of the Starlight Cruiser became the city's biggest mystery, even bigger than the story of Sterling Silver himself. Who could steal a car from a locked museum without leaving a single trace? That is when they called for me. My name is Detective Harding. I specialize in puzzles that no one else can solve. When I arrived, the museum was a flurry of confused activity, but I looked for what was out of place. Underneath the spot where the car's front tire had rested, I found it. It was a small, curious symbol drawn in white chalk on the dark marble floor. It looked like a star, but inside the star was a single elegant feather. It was a strange and deliberate clue. It wasn't an accident, it was a message. This wasn't a common car theft. Someone wanted this specific car, and they wanted me to know that this was about something much older than a simple robbery. The symbol was my first thread. I spent the rest of the day in the library, surrounded by dusty books about old symbols and secret clubs. The city buzzed with rumors, but I was focused on the chalk drawing. As night fell, a new clue arrived. A small, unmarked envelope was slipped under my office door. Inside was a single old photograph. It showed Sterling Silver standing proudly next to his Starlight cruiser. But on the car door, barely visible, was the same symbol from the museum floor. A star and a feather. The mystery was deepening, pulling me back decades into the past, into the secret life of a vanished movie star. My investigation became a journey into the shadows. 2 nights after the theft, I was working late in my office when the lights began to flicker. I heard a soft scratching sound at the window. When I looked, there was nothing there but the rain-streaked glass. But on the windowsill outside sat a small, tarnished silver locket, the kind that might have dangled from a necklace long ago. I opened it carefully. Inside there was no picture. Instead, a tiny piece of paper was folded into a square. It contained a single word, Orion. It was another piece of the puzzle, another whisper from the past. Why Orion? Was it a person, a place, or something else entirely? The next day, I visited the old Orion Movie Palace, a grand but forgotten theatre where Sterling Silver's films once played to cheering crowds. The building was now abandoned, its doors chained shut and its windows boarded up. As I walked around the building's dark alley, I felt a strange sensation, as if I were being watched. A sudden gust of wind blew a stack of old newspapers across my path. One of them, dated from 1955, was open to an article about a local tragedy. A fire had broken out at a secret gathering of an astronomy club. Several members had perished. The club's name? The Starlight Fellowship. The clues were beginning to connect, forming a ghostly map. The Starlight cruiser, the star and feather symbol, the word Orion, and now a tragic fire involving an astronomy club. It was clear that the car's theft was not about money. It was about memory. It was about a story that had been buried for 70 years. I returned to the old photograph of Sterling Silver, looking closer with a magnifying glass. I saw other people reflected faintly in the car's polished surface. They were all wearing lockets, just like the one left on my windowsill. They were members of the Starlight Fellowship, and Sterling Silver was one of them. The suspense grew with each discovery. I felt as if I were chasing ghosts through the city's history. One evening, a package arrived containing an old film reel. There was no note, no explanation. I took it to a friend who owned a vintage projector. We watched in the dark as flickering images appeared on the screen. It was home movie footage of the Starlight Fellowship. They were laughing, pointing at star charts, and gathered around the Starlight cruiser. Sterling Silver was there, drawing the star and feather symbol in a notebook. The car was not just his vehicle. It was the centerpiece of their secret society, a society that ended in fire and sorrow. The final clue came from the film reel itself. In the last few seconds of the footage, Sterling Silver looked directly at the camera. He pointed to the car's glove compartment and then held up 5 fingers before the film cut out. It was a message across time. I realized the thief wasn't a thief at all, but a guardian. They hadn't stolen the car, they had reclaimed it. I looked back at the newspaper article about the fire. 5 members of the Starlight Fellowship were listed as having died, but a 6th name was mentioned, a young boy, the son of one of the members, who had survived. His name was Arthur Abernathy, the museum director. I went to Mr. Abernathy's home, an old house filled with books about stars. The Starlight cruiser was parked safely in his garage, gleaming under a single light bulb. He wasn't surprised to see me. He explained that the car was never Sterling Silver's. It belonged to the society, a mobile observatory and meeting place. The actor was just their most famous member. Inside the glove compartment, hidden in a secret panel, was the society's logbook. It contained their discoveries, their dreams, and a terrible secret. The fire wasn't an accident. It was set by a rival who wanted to steal their research. Mr. Abernathy, now an old man, was the last guardian of their story. When the car was donated to the museum, he knew its secret would be lost. turned into a shallow celebrity tale? He couldn't let that happen. The theft was his way of protecting his family's legacy. He created the mystery, leaving me clues he knew a careful detective would follow. He wanted the truth to be discovered, not by the world, but by someone who would understand. He wanted the members of the Starlight Fellowship to be remembered for who they were, explorers of the night sky, not victims of a forgotten tragedy. The Starlight Cruiser was more than just a car. It was a time capsule, a monument to a secret society of dreamers. Its disappearance was not an ending, but a new beginning for a story that had been silent for too long. I agreed to help Mr. Abernathy share the true history of the Starlight Fellowship in his own time, in his own way. The car was returned to the museum, but this time with a new plaque telling its real story. The mystery was solved, not with handcuffs, but with understanding. The car remained the star of the show, but now it shone with the light of truth.